All right, welcome back to the latest edition of the Spoken Truth podcast. I am Chaz,
I'm Tunde.
and we're here covering Game 6 of the NBA Finals. Here midway through the fourth quarter, Warriors hanging on to a lead. As the Celtics try and get back into it. Tunde, what are you seeing right now? And do you think that Boston has a chance to get back into it?
Oh man, Boston is turning the ball over a lot. Some of them forced, a decent amount of them unforced. It's like people dribbling off their own feet. I mean, that's not. I think they have a chance to get back in it. It's not a very great one though. I think that's pretty clear. So, what do you think, Chess?
Yeah, I mean that's obviously been the key all series, like we talked about pregame, and it's been exactly that to this point. I know they had 17 turnovers coming into this quarter. They're up to 20 already. I mean, that's been the biggest reason. If they are in the half court on offense and defense, I feel like the Celtics have a pretty good chance. In this series, they've shown like they're just as good, if not better, than the Warriors. But the turnovers on offense leading to transition points the other way have really been the story in a lot of these games, I feel like. As Grant Williams, he does get an and one right here. So Boston does have a shot to get it within 10. And we're going to add our third co-host to Danny here in a second. But what have you seen from the Warriors too? Because they haven't been exactly clean, especially in this second half either. They have a lot of turnovers. Do you think, how can they kind of tighten it up to finish it off and win their seventh championship?
I mean, I think it'll be a confluence of factors. Like you said, playing cleaner basketball is a priority. But if we're being honest on a few of these possessions, Boston is dodging bullets. We're seeing possessions where the Warriors are running Steph and Klay off curls and pin downs and like getting clean looks and just missing. Right now, Boston is switching a lot of the on-ball screens, or at least they did throughout the third quarter. But we saw Steph, just kind of create a lot of space on those. As right now, the possession we're watching, the Warriors clearly tried to target Al Horford on that switch. So they set one screen and then set another screen to make sure Al Horford was the one guarding Steph Curry.
As we bring on Danny here too, Danny, what have you seen, from this game so far as the Warriors are, just a few minutes away from clinching their fourth championship in 8 years?
It's not too dark in here, is it, guys? I don't know if I have enough light.
You're not too bad. The light's kind of coming in from like behind you.
Oh, it's not?
You look like you're about to tell us why you gathered us all here today or something like that.
I'll fix it for later on or when someone else talks. I'll try to get into some more light here. But what I'm saying is the Celtics simply not executed enough on the offensive end. They've played well enough on the defensive side of the ball in order to make this game more competitive than what it already is. As Jaylen Brown just hit a three. But I think they need to improve a little more on the offensive end down the stretch if they want to make this a close game.
Yeah, that was a huge shot right there too, like you mentioned, Jaylen Brown on the baseline out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
Cut the lead down to 8 with 5 minutes. I mean, he's the leading scorer with 29 on the team. Tatum hasn't done much.
Andrew Wiggins comes back and hit a three. I think I'm a little ahead of you guys.
Yeah, that's a huge response. Huge response. Push it back up to 11. What have you guys thought of Tatum's play?
As Jaylen Brown just turns the ball over. I think am I a little ahead of you guys?
I think you might be.
He just turned it over.
As Jeremiah Green lays the ball up, the Warriors lead grows to 13 with about 4.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Go ahead, Chas.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the story right there. The turnovers leading to easy buckets as Draymond gets a run out. 21 turnovers on the night now.
Mm-hmm.
What I was asking is, Tatum hasn't played very well tonight. He was a big discussion, in our pregame. What have you guys thought of his play tonight? He's got 13 points on 6 of 17, 7 assists, 3 rebounds.
Not good enough. That's just pretty simple. Just not good enough.
Yeah.
11 points in the first half. It's just not. It's not going to get it done on this stage. As Curry lays the ball up, Steph Curry just playing on another level right now. He wants to end this tonight as they go back up by 12. Steph Curry has 27, 11 for 19, pretty efficient.
Oh man.
But yeah, as I was saying, he's just not playing well enough. And like I said before, Jaylen Brown has been the best player on the Celtics by far in this series. And that can't be when Jayson Tatum is that good. I mean, he has the talent to be one of the top 6-7 players in the world. He's not putting it together when it matters the most. Again, he's young. So I don't look at this as a knock on the Celtics. They're a young team. They're a better team. It just so happens that Steph Curry is by far and away the best player in this series. As he travels and turns the ball over again, Jayson Tatum.
Yeah, that's been one of his main stories too. Obviously, setting the record for most turnovers in a playoff. A few of these nights he's been kind of off shooting, but I feel like the turnovers has really been a reason why, the Celtics haven't been able to win a few of these games as well.
Yeah, I think Mike Green just said 27 turnovers. That's just a recipe for disaster. You're not going to win an NBA Finals game. I mean, a game, let alone an NBA Finals game, turning the ball over that much. That's
tonight. They have 22.
Oh, he might have made a mistake. I think he said 27.
You're talking about Tatum or the team?
The team.
Yeah, it's 22 tonight.
22. Okay.
Yeah.
It feels like 27.
No, for sure.
It feels like 27.
Yeah, and it's led to at least 22 points off turnovers too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean that's been the story for a lot of this series, I feel like.
Yeah. So is that your biggest takeaway from this series if it was to end tonight? Is, I've said throughout the entire series, I don't think they have a point guard, which they don't. They don't have a guy that can that has great handles. Jaylen Brown hands. He doesn't have good hands. I can say the same thing about Jayson Tatum. They don't have that. You don't need that traditional point guard like a CP3, but you need a guy that can handle the ball very effectively. And it's very noticeable in this series that they just don't have the guy for that.
I think it's tough because some of it is. Like a lot of the things that are going wrong for Boston are just like, it's stuff that you would just expect like good basketball players to be able to do. You would expect good basketball players to be able to chin the ball and be strong with it in the triple threat position. You would expect good basketball players to not dribble the ball off their feet. You would expect good basketball players to be able to throw a chest pass like to somebody and have it just be accurate and throw it to the right hand. Like you would expect good basketball players to be able to throw an entry pass to the post without spraying it super wide. Like it's the worst part of it is that it's like it's just fundamental. Like a lot of this stuff is like it's like fundamentals and it's stuff that the guys on this team are very much capable of doing. And like a decent amount of these are just unforced. There's one in particular that sticks out to me from the first quarter, from the first half, where I want to say it was Jayson Tatum who came off a screen and Robert Williams, for lack of a better way to describe it, just threw the ball directly to the defense off the screen with Jayson Tatum coming up top. Like as Robert Williams is a good passer, but like you don't have to be a good passer. You don't need Chris Paul for somebody to be able to hit that pass. Like with somebody in the hands as they come off the screen. Like you don't need Like, you don't need Kevin Durant for that. Like, that's just basketball.
Common sense basketball IQ of being able to make the type of passes that you need to make. The thing is, when Boston turns the ball over, it's like that so stupid. It demoralizes you as a team. The other players on the Boston Celtics because they're so careless. It's not they 9 times out of 10 they're making a pass that they should not be making. And that's where a majority of the turnovers are coming from. A lot of these turnovers are unforced. They're just giving the ball away. And when you're a championship level team, you just cannot do that. You just cannot do that. Is this lighting better? I kind of moved a little bit.
Yeah.
And Steph Curry hits another 3. He senses the moment right now. He senses the championship right now. 30 points. He's 6 for 10 from the 3. I said in our pregame, I said, do you think Steph is going to go 0 for 9 from 3? We all know that was an aberration. It wasn't going to happen again. But can he somewhat, obviously play better, but all he needs is one other person to come along with the party. And in this game, we saw Jordan Poole get it going. We saw Andrew Wiggins continue to play great. We saw Klay Thompson hit key shots. Gary Payton on the defensive end. So we've seen them play a complete game. Still not their best game, in my opinion. We saw Draymond Green have the best game of this series by far.
Yeah.
And to me, he's been the key difference. His aggressiveness on the defensive end, him taking 3-point shots, and him actually taking and making 3-point shots. So to me, he's definitely been the reason why we're able to build that 22-point lead, but while they're on the cusp of winning their 6th championship in 8 seasons. Sorry, they're winning their 4th championship in 8 seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Draymond was phenomenal tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go
ahead, Chess.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I got nothing else. Great. Yeah, like they were. I think the tough part of all of this is like it's the same thing I think we've said for a lot of this, or you guys have heard me say for a lot of the series, but ultimately, like the Celtics were probably.
I didn't want to interrupt you as Andrew Wiggins just hits another dagger 3. 99-84. We're about a minute and a half left in the 4th quarter. Go ahead, Tunde.
That's it.
Oh yeah, the game is over. So this is a referendum at this point. Absolutely. But I mean the Celtics were good enough tonight defensively to accomplish what they were trying to accomplish.
What would you pinpoint, Tunde, the reason that they could not get it done tonight? Obviously, I think we all agree defense was there. What would you point to as the number one reason they couldn't get it done?
They turned the ball over 197 times. It's really that simple. Like you're just not. This doesn't work when you do that.
Yeah. Chaz, what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, the turnovers have to be the number one reason, but just I feel like allowing that 21-0 run after a good start, really killed them. Just after you get up 14-2, you expect to be leading by, no less than 6 or 7 at the end of the first quarter. Instead, you're down, and then you allow them to score, I think, the next 10 points to start the second as well. So obviously the turnovers have to be the number one reason, I feel like. But just allowing such a big run, allowing Curry to get off, in that second quarter, I feel like it just dug them such a big hole that they couldn't quite dig out of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as Steph Curry goes to the free throw line, I believe that was his first time this game, first or second time in this game, going to the free throw line. And they just showed the glaring stat, 43-40 in rebounds. In Boston favor +3. You have to dominate this small ball team. I've been saying it throughout the entire playoffs. They out-rebounded the number one rebounding team in the league in Memphis. Then they went to do it again in Boston. Like, how is this small ball team dominating the boards or even keeping it remotely close? It just shows the lack of effort on the opposing team.
I don't think that teams were just trying to, give them rebounds on their way to a championship. I think that probably says something about Draymond Green and Kevon Looney.
And lack of effort. Because if you're this big of a team,
I promise you it's not lack of effort.
I think some of it has to do with a lack of effort. Like, I've seen multiple plays. I can't count on my fingers throughout this series where they just didn't show any effort to get the rebound. Like, let's not act like that's not a thing, because that's definitely a thing. Them not showing the amount of effort that they need to grab boards. There's no way that this small ball Warriors team with their biggest player is Kevon Looney, I think he's 6'9", should be out rebounding you. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it's not, it's all not, they're not showing any effort, but I'm saying sometimes it's very glaring that they're not putting forth the effort they need to in order to get those boards.
I mean, the Celtics' two biggest bigs, rotation guys are 6'9" Robert Williams and 6'10" Al Horford. So, I mean, it's not, they're bigger, but they're not, they're not throwing a 7'3" guy out there. There are certainly some plays where Andrew Wiggins has been huge in this series on the boards. There are certainly some plays like that, but that's. I just don't think we can look at it and say yes, it was all just a lack of effort and nothing else. I'm not saying that either.
It's not just about that. But I do think on some of these opportunities, I think Boston could have put forth a better effort. I think out of all of the series that they've played, this has been their worst by far. They played okay against Miami. They played tremendously against Milwaukee and they just completely mopped the floor with Brooklyn. So this is by far the worst I've seen them in the playoffs for an entire series. Again, I don't know if it's the pressure. I don't know exactly if it's the moment's too big, but obviously I think Boston will have to go back to the drawing board to see what we did wrong. And obviously we could point to a lot of things that they did wrong, but how do they come back next year and fix those mistakes?
I think there was I think towards the end of this series we did see some dead legs with them. With that being said, that's really nobody's fault but their own. This is part of why the Milwaukee series and the Miami series, you get those done as soon as possible.
I don't want to cut you off, but the Warriors are now NBA champs with about 5 seconds left. So now that this is official, Steph Curry is now a 4-time champion, and you could definitely see the emotions from him. I obviously believe that he's going to win Finals MVP. What does this mean?
Oh, he totally broke down too.
Yeah, he totally broke down. Yeah, I just saw that. And the emotions that he showed is incredible. Let's just stay in this moment for a little minute.
Yeah, it's huge. 4th in 8 years, 7th all time. A lot of these guys just continue to cement their legacy. I mean, obviously Curry the most, but Draymond, Klay, Iguodala, Steve Kerr. I mean, the ownership group. We're going to talk about in a little bit where this dynasty ranks all time. But I mean, they definitely just took it up another level. When you're able to extend that dynasty, like we haven't seen a lot of franchises be able to do. I mean, this is stuff like the Spurs, and there aren't a lot of other franchises that can say they've done something like this.
Absolutely. Chaz, just your thoughts on the overall impact of this series. What was the glamoring reason the Golden State Warriors won this series, despite looking at the turnover ratio?
Yeah, the turnover ratio was the big thing, especially tonight. But throughout the series, these last 3 games, I just thought that the Warriors really took it up another notch defensively. And then obviously in that game 4, they couldn't do anything about Steph. And it seemed like with a quarter to go in game 4 that the Celtics were going to win the championship. I mean, that's how I felt at least. And what Curry did in that quarter, what other guys like Klay, what Draymond did defensively in that quarter, Wiggins with the rebounding. I mean, that quarter I feel like was where the whole series changed. And then, these last two games, I feel like they won a lot because of those turnovers. But I mean, that game 4 was just such a big momentum shifter. And I mean, that's a lot of the reason that they won this series. And it's a lot of the reason that, we knew what Steph could do coming into it. And I mean, that was it. That game was his legacy, I feel like, in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think for him, I mean, a lot can be made of like his career and everything, but I think we all can agree that this is by far his best finals performance in totality that he's ever had. Talking from game 1 to whatever game it went to. I think this trumps everything he's done in the finals per se.
I think it has to. Yeah. I mean, I had the numbers coming into the game. He was averaging 31, 6, and 5 on 47, 42, 83. And that was after going 0 for 9, obviously. And a lot of those are going to go up after tonight. So, I mean, he was phenomenal. He's obviously going to get the finals MVP, and he definitely deserves it.
Yeah. So, Tunde, I wanted to ask you the same question that I asked Chaz just a little bit ago. Looking back at this series now that it is over, and despite looking at the turnovers, what was your overall impression of this series? Like, what determined this series despite the turnovers?
I know you said despite the turnovers.
I know there's a huge, yeah.
Like that's like describe Steph, like that'd be like describe Steph Curry's skill share minus the shooting. Like you kind of can't, Yeah, I mean the turnovers were just, you really can't say enough about that when you are operating from a place where against like a Warriors team like this, you're kind of just giving them like 10 to 12 possessions, like 10 to 12 possessions a night where they get a man advantage basically because they're in transition. You just aren't gonna beat them that way. There's not much else to say there. Obviously, like you guys said, Steph Curry was, sensational, just phenomenal. Yeah, Chaz caught the reference. Love cheesecake. But yeah, Steph Curry was wonderful. And you can't say enough about what Andrew Wiggins did in this series. They don't do this without him. The
Absolutely.
defense he played on Jayson Tatum, the shot making, the rebounding, just all absolutely mission critical towards them getting this done.
Yeah. So before they before we get to the championship celebration and the finals MVP, and obviously the remake of the trophy, the NBA championship trophy, I wanted to start with, what does this 6th title mean for the Warriors as an organization?
7th, right?
7th? Oh yeah, 7th. I did an article on that shit too. I still got it wrong.
I feel like it means a lot. I mean, I don't know how much these current owners care about past championships, but to me, to move into 3rd place alone, ahead of the Bulls, I feel like it has to mean something. I mean, you kind of separate yourself from the Bulls and the Spurs, in my opinion. I don't know about going up head to head, but just in terms of championships, finals appearances, like all that type of stuff, I feel like it kind of makes you the 3rd franchise, behind the Celtics and the Lakers all time.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. That's winning championships is good. Yeah, I ain't got much else to say there. Winning championships is good. Winning championships to make yourself the 3rd, all time on the list is it's pretty good.
And keeping the focus on this Warriors dynasty, this dynasty right now, it kind of started, then it kind of faded a little bit with injuries to Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant departing, and then Steph Curry getting injured. So they kind of slided for 2 years. Now they have resurged this dynasty. just thinking about the big three of the Warriors, Steph, Dre, and Klay, where would you rank that duo all time?
Trio. I don't know. I mean, I feel like they're better than the Spurs trio.
As a dynasty, where would you rank that trio dynasty overall?
That's tough too, because you have Kevin Durant like thrown in the mix of it, which I feel like no other dynasty would really have. I mean, maybe you could compare that to like the Bulls, getting Dennis Rodman for the last three or something like that. But to have KD in the middle and not the beginning or the end is kind of something we've never seen before. But with that said, I feel like they surpassed the Spurs. Like I said, I don't think it puts them above somebody like Chicago. I mean, 6 appearances. They were obviously the best team of the 90s, one of the best teams we've ever seen before. So I don't think it can get them to that. I don't know how you guys feel about, them compared to somebody like the 80s Celtics or Lakers. I mean, how do you think this Golden State Warriors dynasty stacks up to those?
I mean, I don't know, man. This is gonna sound like slander because it kind of is, but when we compare things from all-time eras, I'm always going to favor today's era, because today's era is just clearly when the basketball players have been the best. Everyone will tell you what they want to tell you about like the 80s eras, and then you go like go and watch those games, please. Like, just go watch those games instead of just relying on what you've been told, and trust what your eyes tell you when you're watching people pack the paint and nobody being able to shoot, and lots of people not being able to shoot from outside 18 feet, and people not being able to dribble with their offhand. It's crazy. So I mean, I would say the Warriors dynasty will be pretty high up here. Like you said, you probably can't put them past the Jordan Bulls. Past that, 4 championships in 8 years is they're up there. They are very high up there. And I mean, in this series, they set the record for that trio for most finals wins by a trio, right? So I mean,
yeah, I think it was the Spurs before that, right?
Yeah, the Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili.
Yeah. I feel like that has to mean a lot for their legacy.
Absolutely.
21 now, I believe.
Yeah, Abs, the Warriors are getting ready to be crowned NBA champions.
Congrats, Danny, by the way.
Yeah.
I'd said 7, but we'll take 6. We'll take 6.
Congrats, Chaz. If anything, Chaz got it exactly right.
You did get it right, Chaz. So congrats to you.
I was hoping for a Game 7 at least, though.
Yeah, I you know what? And I was talking to my sister before I hopped on here. Actually, when I got off of work, I told her if Golden State did not win this game, I don't believe they come back to win Game 7. Because you're up 22, and it's something about blowing that big lead is so demoralizing to whoever blows it that I don't think you recover. I harping back what happened in the bubble. I mean, what happened in the play-in. When Golden State beat Memphis that first time, I said, when they lost to Memphis that first time, I think they lost the first or the second. No, they lost the second for sure. But
they lost to Lakers and then Grizzlies.
Yeah, I said that when they lost to the Lakers and they had that lead, I said, there's no way they can come back from this. And they lost to the Grizzlies and end up missing the playoffs. You can't blow a lead like that and then expect 24 hours later to get up, or 48 hours later to get up, and then go out and try to, win something that you already should have won already.
Yeah, that would have been really tough if they did give that up. I don't know how close it got. I know it got down to 8. I don't know if it got any lower than that. But that would have been tough to come back from if you were to give up such a big lead.
What do you guys think of that newly designed trophy? I don't think you could see it as much. I think it has some names on there. I think it has every NBA champion on there. It's just a whole. It's smaller, so they just redesigned it. I don't know if they're going to do it up close on it. What they did now.
That's a nice touch, though.
Yeah, you can see at the bottom two layers has all of the teams that have won the championship in 75 years. It has an NBA net around it, I believe. Obviously, it's smaller than the one that they had in previous years. So overall, I think it's pretty dope.
Fair enough. I think I like the old one better, but I think part of the reason I like the old one better is because like for whatever reason the old one always looks shinier.
Yeah.
Like matted a little bit. I don't know.
Absolutely. What is your thoughts on that, Chas? On the trophy?
I would like a closer look at it, but I think it's pretty.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't do a close up on it yet, but
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see it on social media, but I feel like it's a good touch. Do you guys know what the design for this Finals MVP trophy? Did that change? It's still Bill Russell, right?
yeah, but they did change it. Yes, they did change it.
I definitely remember liking the old Finals MVP trophy better. Ultimately, I don't. It's a trophy, right? It's the same.
Yeah.
It means the same thing. I don't think the players who are getting it care. Can we just talk about this real quick though?
Yeah.
Why the hell do the NBA likes to call them governors now instead of owner, which I like. But why do the team governors touch the trophy first and get to come up and talk before everybody else? Like they played a single moment of basketball or had any effect on the strategy that went into this, or did y'all didn't win this championship. Steve Kerr and his coaching staff and his team, and most notably Steph Curry, won this championship.
Yeah.
Why it's like the one of my least favorite things in sports across like all of American sports. It's kind of ridiculous to me.
Yeah, I would do coach, players, and then if you want to get
Only
to
got one.
the front office after that, I feel like it would make more sense. Everybody wants to hear from Steph. Everybody wants to see the Finals MVP. Now the Steph Curry haters can shut up too.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was never any legitimate reason for them.
Of course, us.
That's haters though.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Steph Curry has had nothing to prove for years. So
Long overdue. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
4 times later.
Yeah.
I still believe he got robbed in 2015, but can't look at that. But Iggy, rightfully so.
I don't know about rightfully, but
I know, but he just held LeBron to like 31-10 and like 9.
Oh, it was all more than that.
Yeah, I know. Like I was being generous.
He averaged like 37 points a game for that series.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the 4th finals that Steph has played a MVP worthy finals. I feel like first time he won it.
Yeah.
A good Klay back there too.
Yeah, absolutely. As you guys are listening to the Spoken Truth podcast, as we start our post-game coverage of the conclusion of the NBA Finals, the Warriors beat the Boston Celtics in Game 6, 4-2. They are now 7-time NBA champs as an organization. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, they are now 4-time NBA champions. Steph Curry brings home his first Finals MVP. Go ahead, Josh.
I was just saying Iguodala too, and Steve Kerr.
Oh yeah, Iguodala and Steve. Well, Steve Kerr has like 9
now. Yeah,
8, 9.
Yep.
Yeah, like Steve Kerr, he's almost got as much as he got hands.
Yeah, he's getting.
I don't knock him.
Yeah, he's getting into that Phil Jackson conversation.
Absolutely.
Everywhere, Steve Kerr has had such an interesting basketball life. Because I mean, we talk about like a lot of people compare this team to the Jordan Bulls, and like Steve Kerr has had a unique front row seat to both with being on those Michael Jordan teams and hitting some big shots to help them win championships, and then obviously being the head coach of the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, been a part of arguably 2 of the top 3 teams of all time.
Yeah.
If not top 2, really.
18-2, really laid the foundation for what was to come. And
Klay 17 points in this series on 36% shooting from the field. I believe that was a field. That's abysmal. Did I say 36 from the field?
Yeah, and 35 from 3.
Shit. Oh my God. I thought I read that wrong. 36 from the field? You know, 2 years of injuries, 2 years worth of injuries. And I guess he deserved this moment more than anybody, I believe, going through what he went through.
Yeah, he really does. I just keep thinking back to one of the games where he was out and Steph came over to him after the game. They hugged behind the bench, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he probably just had so many of those moments where he just felt like, he just didn't want to do the rehab, didn't want to have to go through the whole process, especially after being, a year into it. I mean, to see him back on this stage, I feel like it means everything for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that it's not a hypothetical anymore, Steph Curry is now a 4-time champion, and now he has his elusive Finals MVP. Where does he rank all time after these achievements?
Let me cut this recording. Split that up. Go ahead, Tunde.
I mean, that's a great question. I'm probably going to give you about the same cop-out answer that I gave you last time, which is that to give you an exact number, I'd have to sit down and go through it. I've yet to do so.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go through it. Let's go through it. You want us to come back to you?
Let's do it.
Let's go through it together. I mean, we obviously
let's go do it together. Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, we're going to disagree on some people.
But I think we'll all have this same probably first 7 or 8.
Yeah. I'm talking about but at the order, but we all agree, right? LeBron, Jordan, no matter how you put it.
LeBron, Jordan, yes.
Yeah. Then you got Magic.
Yeah.
Kareem, 4. Well, I'm not going in any order.
Sure.
Magic, Kareem, right? Okay, so now Kobe.
Is Kobe, Tim Duncan, Shaq, are all
Kobe, Tim Duncan, Shaq.
Above him, clearly.
Kobe, Tim Duncan, Shaq, Hakeem Olajuwon. Sure.
See, I don't have a king. That's where
I don't know if I do either.
I don't have a
I
king.
should.
We're at
Let's put him
7
on the
as
top.
we agree on 7 now.
Okay.
Shaquille O'Neal and Hakeem Olajuwon were the same tier of basketball player during their careers. Maybe not at their peak. Sure, that's fine. Hakeem Olajuwon took a team to a title, and then just in case you thought that was a fluke, did it again the very next season. Yeah, there's not much else to say. I think his legacy would be even, people would give him the respect he deserved if they got to play against the Jordan Bulls and had beaten that team in one of the finals. And I think they legitimately would have been capable of doing it. But, obviously these are all hypotheticals. That was 25 years ago.
Absolutely. So you do have Hakeem. Okay, me and Chaz disagree on that. So you're up to 8. So now you got to go Wilt.
Yeah, Bill Russell. You guys both have them above Steph.
I have Bill Russell and Wilt in my list. So that gives me right there 7, 8. That gives me to 9. I have Steph at 10. I have him ahead of Bird. I have him ahead of Kevin Durant. I have him ahead of anybody else. Hakeem. I have him ahead of all of them. So Chaz, now that we have that 7, who is that last 3?
So the 7, I didn't say Bill or Wilt, right?
No.
I guess I would have both of them, but I don't know. I mean, to me, Steph Curry is probably a better player than both of them. It's hard with the championships, Russell, and then it's hard, with the outlandish stats on Wilt's side. So, I mean, I think they're kind of solidified in the top 10. So I guess I'll include them, although I kind of feel like Steph is on that same level as them.
Okay. So now you need one more. Now you're at 9.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have Steph, Shaq, and Hakeem all on that same level as 9, 10, 11.
Okay. So you only could choose one. So you're not including Wilt and Russell?
Oh no. Tunde, you go. I'll come back to me. I gotta write this down.
All right, you're at 7, Tunde. We need 3 more.
Because I think Bird is on that same level as as Shaq and those and
I
Steph.
agree.
So
I agree.
yeah,
I think Bird's
write
career.
it down.
I think the thing that separates those guys from me is that Bird I think you guys heard me say this last episode, but Bird had a fairly short career.
Yep.
And so I think that tends to knock him down a notch, especially because his last year or two, he wasn't quite the same guy because of the injuries. Above all else, I value peaks and primes, which is part of why, like, it's part of why LeBron is at the top of my list. And then why I look at guys like a Tim Duncan, who was putting up stat lines like 21, 20, 10, and 8, which honestly he was robbed of a few. He should have had a quadruple double in an NBA Finals closeout game, which is absolute absurdity. That's why I look at guys like that, with him doing that and then winning 2 MVPs, and kind of maybe hold them in higher regard than the average person making their list. I think for me, Steph would be anywhere in the he'd be anywhere in this like the 7 to 12 tier.
Okay. So go ahead and narrow that down for me. You only get 3. Yeah, I'm putting y'all on the hot seat because
sure.
You got 3 spots. You haven't mentioned Wilt. You haven't mentioned Wilt. You haven't mentioned Russell.
Wilt.
You haven't mentioned Bird. You haven't mentioned Steph. You haven't mentioned Kevin Durant. You haven't mentioned any of those. So you only have 3 of those slots. I'm not talking about they're in the same group. You only get 10. Only 10 invited to the party.
All right, sure. So and so now we're at 8. It's like, and it's for 8, 9, 10, right?
No, you're at 6. So yeah, you're 8, 9, 10. Absolutely. Yep.
Sure. I mean, another thing, like if this is actually my list, Kobe Bryant might not be in the top 7. No, that's scandalous. Shake your fist at me now. I get it. But if it's my list,
5 then?
You said what?
So would Tim Duncan be 5 or?
Tim Duncan is somewhere around 5, maybe 6. I would have it ordered like LeBron, Jordan, Kareem.
Magic.
This is where it gets tough. I guess Magic. And then I think I have Shaq above Tim Duncan just because I think this is one where it's tough because Tim Duncan was, had a longer career as a productive NBA player. But I think Shaq's prime was that was, arguably the most dominant player in NBA history when he was himself and on, and was literally there were players in the league who were employed specifically because people thought they might kind of sort of be able to somewhat make his life slightly harder. So yeah, I'll put Shaq at 5. I'll put Shaq at 5, Duncan at 6. This is where I'd probably have Olajuwon at 7.
Okay.
And then now we're looking between, all of those guys you mentioned plus Kobe for those last 3 spots. I think the way it'll look for me would be that I'd have oh man, this is tough. I'll say that I have Steph.
So you guys were talking about my list, and I'm like, hold on, it's hard. Like after you get past 5, it's hard as shit.
It is. I was about to give you an answer to your question.
Okay.
I'll go Steph at 8, Kobe at 9, and Kevin Durant at 10.
Steph is better than Kobe?
I'm fine with saying that. I know most people won't be, but I'm fine with saying
I'm
that.
not mad at it.
I think he's a unique offensive threat. And his ability to be what he is off the ball separates him from so many players throughout NBA history. Like you you don't see 6'3" guys with his ability to screen, move off the ball, seemingly never get tired, always keep it going. And to really compete on the defensive end and be far better there than he ever gets credit for.
Mm-hmm. And you say you had KD at 10?
Kevin Durant at 10, because again, like if we're going by the litmus test of you have one player, you can get one-on-one any player like 18 feet, give them the ball, and you need them to give you a bucket to win the game. Like, I think, if I have any one player in NBA history, I think Kevin Durant is probably the guy I'm picking.
I'll go with Jordan, but all due respect.
I think that's very valid. Michael Jordan is I don't need to explain Michael Jordan to anybody.
I was saying there's no explanation needed.
Michael Jordan was Michael Jordan. I understand that. Kevin Durant is 7 feet tall, doing all the things that he does, and just generally speaking, when he decides, all right, I'm gonna rise up and shoot, like he might miss the shot, but it's really not because of you. He didn't see you when he shot the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm not mad at your list, but I feel like that has to be the first top 10 without Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, and Larry Bird, probably ever.
Yeah, Kevin Durant is. I respect your takes, but Kevin Durant is not a top 10 player of all time. He's not better than those three guys Chaz just named.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're being,
it is your top 10 though, so we can't be mad. But
no, you can be very mad. One moment, please.
I mean, I might as well go with my top 10. It's still work in progress. So
Okay.
my laptop is dying. Sorry, y'all.
No, you're good, man.
Also, sorry to interrupt you really quickly, Chaz, but I did want to pose just one quick question.
Yeah.
If we're really being honest with ourselves, if we're not talking about accolades or public perception, and we are strictly just talking about who they are as basketball players, do you really think that Larry Bird is better or was a better basketball player than Kevin Durant is?
No, but I think you have to factor all the accolades in, right, in an all-time list.
I think it matters. I think it matters to some degree, but I think really being honest with ourselves, there's a gap between.
No, I agree, and I didn't want to interrupt because I want you to continue your point. I just want to make it clear where I'm at with that. I think Kevin Durant is more talented than half of the list that's in the top 10.
Yeah, me too.
But he's not a top 10 player though. Like, you could be more talented doesn't make you better. Like, he's more talented than Steph because he's taller. I don't think he's better than Steph. I've been on the record saying that for a long time now. And I've been bashed because I've said that. I'm like, you guys don't give him credit because of size. And you guys give Kevin Durant, I'm not going to say too much credit, but you give him all the credit because his size and his length. So you can't have it both ways. So,
I mean, to be clear, Steve Kerr himself said that he thought that Kevin Durant was the better player. I feel like that should be the end.
I think all of them in that moment said Kevin Durant was the better player. Andre Iguodala did, the best player on the team. Steph said it on best player on the team. Draymond said the best player on the team. Klay said the best player on the team. It was a tactic to get him to stay.
I just think it was the truth. I don't think I just think it was the truth. But
we could debate Steph and Kevin Durant another day.
Yes,
but again, like, at this point in time, based on now, you have to factor in everything. You factor in resume, you factor in what they do on the court, you factor everything. Steph Curry has had a better career than Kevin Durant, in my opinion. But this isn't strictly about those two players. So, Chaz, I wanted to get your last three on that list, and then we're going to go right back to Tunde.
Yeah, I'll do them in order real quick. I'm going to go Michael Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Magic, Kobe, Tim Duncan, Shaq, Bill Russell, Hakeem, and Steph.
Okay. What is it? Because you guys both have Hakeem. What is it that I'm missing about Hakeem that I just don't have him in that top 10 threshold?
Really? I mean, you have him right outside, right?
I got him right outside the top 10, yeah.
I mean, I feel like he's arguably one of the best defenders of all time. I mean, post work, footwork, anything interior, he was one of the best ever. That mid-range game, I feel like he kind of took that, as the center position. He was shooting a lot of mid-range. He had touch outside. He could do a lot of other things that a lot of other big men couldn't do. I feel like he kind of paved the way for others, in a sense. And then what was missing, from his resume all that time was the winning. And they found a nice little niche, in that mid 90s when Jordan was out doing baseball, and right when he came back and they were able to win 2 championships. I mean, he was the best player, I think, in the league, or if not, he was a top 5 player, throughout the 90s. So, I feel like for him to be in that top 10 conversation, I think it's, I think most people would have him in the top 10, if not right outside.
Go ahead, Tunde.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Chaz. Like you said, defense, footwork. I wish he's a guy that I think of, guys like off the top of my head, guys like him and Steve Nash as guys that I like really wish, and like Ben Wallace, guys I really wish we got to see play in today's era. Because I mean, I think they'd be even more respected if they did. Like you mentioned, he was a big in an era where bigs were kind of supposed to just be catch the ball, chin it, post up, and
Love Tim Ledler.
Do that. And even in that era, he was stepping out to mid range, had just crazy footwork that other people couldn't do and weren't agile enough to replicate. And that's before into how special a defensive player he was and how
I might be disrespecting him a little bit. I have to go back and watch some more tape on him.
He was just a genuinely phenomenal basketball player, like a special ability. And like you said, Chaz, the winning kind of elevates him another notch. Like to me, him and Shaquille O'Neal were not like, I think a lot of people see it where, Dream is like at 12 and Shaq is at like, 6 or something like that. And the gap between the two of those guys is not that big.
Mm-hmm. You are listening to the Spoken Truth podcast live on YouTube, post-game edition, as we wrap up the 2021-22 season as the Golden State Warriors win their 7th championship. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and the crew wins their 4th. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel and on Spotify. All you got to do is type in the Spoken Truth podcast in the search engine.
You want to move to another segment or keep talking all the time?
Yep.
Gotcha. Go ahead.
You are listening to the Spoken Truth podcast as we continue our coverage of the 2022 NBA Finals featuring the Golden State Warriors and the Boston Celtics. The Golden State Warriors win their 7th championship, their 4th in 8 seasons. And now I wanted to pay attention to, now that they have won this championship, can this Golden State Warriors team repeat, Chaz?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. I don't know who's going to be the favorite to, come out of the West. I assume, according to Vegas, that they probably will be, just, being the defending champion. But that Western Conference is going to be deep next year. It's going to be tough for whoever comes out of that conference. And, just getting through the regular season, after such a long postseason run is always a challenge too. So, that defending a championship thing is tough. We've seen this team, go to 5 straight finals at one point. So obviously they're used to the grind. They're used to deep summers. But I don't know. I mean, I think they're in that conversation to start the season, and, we got to see how the regular season and after that shakes out.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, they're definitely capable of repeating. There's going to be some teams next year I'm really interested in looking at. Obviously,
Denver.
See what like a team like Denver does. I think Denver will be in that picture. I think looking at the Eastern Conference teams like Boston or Milwaukee will be in that picture. Interested in seeing what the Brooklyn Nets look like next year. interested in seeing what the Los Angeles Clippers look like next year. Like if Kawhi Leonard comes back healthy, I might be inclined to make the Clippers the title favorites off of just the pure roster that they have. They're going to be stacked and absolutely ridiculous. So it'll be fun. Next year should be pretty wide open where we kind of get to see what it looks like and then watch it all play out. Also, this is just as a quick aside. I don't know if we all remember this, but at the beginning of the year, I mentioned the Brooklyn Nets, and this is divergent paths here. So we all know what happened with Kyrie Irving and the vaccine situation. I don't really need to go over all of that again. But I think it's been long forgotten that Andrew Wiggins was in the exact same situation. And Andrew Wiggins, made a very simple decision to just let people jab him a couple times and get the vaccine. And now look at this. Andrew Wiggins has reached places in his career that Andrew Wiggins had never reached before. Like I said earlier, in the South, we don't dance, we just call it jigging. If you're down and there's hope for you, look at Andrew Wiggins. So I just, the dichotomy between the two decisions is interesting. One person had played a large part in tanking his team season. The other didn't do that and was a key part in helping his team win the championship. Would you look at that?
Yeah. This is early, so obviously my mind could potentially change. But right now I have the Western Conference Finals penciled in with the Golden State and the Clippers. Now, obviously, a lot of things can change, but as you said, Tunde, and I agree with you, that Clippers roster may be the best roster in the NBA when it's together. So I do not discount that those guys will come back with a vengeance. I think Kawhi Leonard, he's going to let people know that, you guys forgot about me. And I am a top 5 player when healthy. And Paul George is going to have something to prove. He can prove people like me wrong that, hey, I am a superstar in this league. So I think they're going to come back with a chip on their shoulder. I think they're going to come back hungry. And I would not want to play that team in a 7-game series. So my early prediction will be Golden State versus Clippers. And for the Eastern Conference, I'm going to go with Milwaukee and Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn can retool. I think Milwaukee is going to add at least another piece that they need. And I think those 4 teams are on a collision course to come together in their respective conferences. Only one I can honestly predict right now is I think Milwaukee will come out of the East. That's about as far as I will go right now. I'll have to see everything else play out in the West because I think the West next year will return back to the best conference. This year was the East. I think next year the West will return back to that, that best conference. And I wanted to ask y'all, we're going off script real quick, but I wanted to really ask y'all about that Dallas move. What do you guys think about that Dallas move?
I think Christian, sorry, go ahead, Chess. Nope, go ahead.
I mean, I thought it was a good trade. They didn't have to give up a lot. Obviously just giving up the pick as well. It's not like it was a lottery pick or anything like that. You get back a pretty significant, player. I don't know, we'll have to see on fit and all that. I know he still has some, struggles on the defensive end as well as, some limitations offensively, but I feel like he's, a pretty good guy to pair with Luka, as an interior scorer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you there, Chaz. I think I think it's going to be interesting because Christian Wood is going into a contract year, and I think this is a deal that makes sense for both sides.
Yeah,
if you're Houston, you get another pick for a player who absolutely wasn't a part of your future plans. Yep. This now kind of makes it a natural gives them a natural avenue towards if they want to drafting Paolo Banchero, if he's available with their pick, because now the minutes are completely clear for him to play. But yeah, it's a player who probably wasn't a part of your future plans and didn't fit into that. You know, from the Dallas perspective of things, they didn't give up a single rotation player to make this work. It's a bunch of guys who weren't really going to play, didn't factor into their future plans, and also for most of them expiring contracts. The pick, obviously, you know, that's tough, but it's essentially like they gave up, you know, you gave up a pick, a late first for Christian Wood. I think that's fine. I will say about Christian Wood, the player, like the defensive struggles are very real.
Yeah.
He's not strong enough to really be a 5, and he's not quick enough to really be a 4. So he's kind of it's kind of the tweener thing that we talk about, except it's an actual issue because he doesn't really have the physical attributes, or it appears the desire or mindset to be, you know, an impactful defender in this league. With that being said, Christian Wood has not gotten, you know, legit NBA minutes for any team that has been competitive or close to winning anything. And that's not what Dallas looks like. So, I mean, Christian Wood wouldn't be the first guy to become a significantly better defensive player by virtue of, you know, just kind of being in a situation where he's got to care a little bit more. But I think all things considered, it's a low cost, high upside move for a Dallas team that gets a little bit more scoring punch on their roster to go along with Luka Doncic. So
yeah,
I think it's a good swing.
Yeah. I think it's a decent pickup move for Dallas. I want to see how it plays out on the court. I still think Dallas needs another scoring option than what they have right now. I also think they need to pick up a wing defender. So I think those are just one or two moves that Dallas can make in the offseason to improve their roster. A lot of that won't be the case if Luka played a little better on defense, which I think Luka will kind of emphasize, and the coach will kind of emphasize going into next year that you just have to play a little better on defense. You have to at least, you know, show a little bit. He kind of gets lackadaisical on that end because he's such a terrific scorer that he makes up for it. But, you know, when it gets to that level, and when you're trying to get to a level of this Golden State Warriors of winning the title, their poorest defender is probably their best player. And he makes, Jordan Poole is by far probably their worst defender. But he still makes a concerted effort. You could tell progressively over the years, he's made a better effort on that defensive end. So I think Luka just has to, make some tweaks on that end, and I think Dallas is going to be sitting comfortable in maybe that 5 or 6 slot come next year, and maybe 4, depending on how the Western Conference, the seeding play out. But I want to shift back to the NBA Finals. I just want to get you guys' thoughts on that. Real quick.
Mind if I get a quick question about the Warriors as we talk about them transitioning?
Go for it.
They have 7 unrestricted free agents. I think a couple more restricted. They got Otto Porter, Gary Payton, Kevon Looney, Andre Iguodala, the main unrestricted free agents. Out of those guys, who do you mainly want to see them bring back in order to get back to this level?
I think they bring them all back.
All of them.
I think they pay the entire. I mean, they already have the highest payroll in the league. Yeah. I think they, and they continue to show why they have it by winning titles. Mm-hmm. So I think the owners are going to bring out the checkbook, and they're going to write that check again, that luxury tax, and whatever they have to pay. I think they're going to bring this full team back. You
don't think they make any tweaks?
I think the biggest question will be Andrew Wiggins. I think he would be the biggest question, but based on how he's performed in the playoffs and in these finals, I don't see why they would try to, maybe sign and trade or just flat out trade him because he's proven that he can be a pretty good wing defender. We already knew that, and he can be an effective offensive scorer, 17 points a game, maybe 18 points a game next year. But I do think they try to bring everyone back. The only one I will probably be skeptical about is I think Iguodala is going to try to transition into another role. That Udonis Haslam role.
Oh, you think he's going to stay in the league though?
I think he'll stay in the league. I think he'll try to transfer into that type of role. If I'm being honest, keep him on the payroll, but transfer him into that type of role. So he will be the guy that I say maybe change.
Do you think they should extend Wiggins and Poole? I want to get Tunde, your thoughts on this too.
Oh, they're going to sign Wiggins to the max. Jordan to the max. Yeah.
Yeah, both Wiggins are eligible, right?
Yeah, Wiggins and Poole both got another year, so they won't be free agents this offseason.
But
that's benefit Warriors. Both, right? That benefit Warriors, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I imagine that the Warriors probably won't. I don't know if they're going to have the money to sign to sign Jordan Poole to a max, given that he probably won't make, he's probably not going to make, an all-NBA team or win MVP or anything like that that'll allow them to go even further over the cap to sign him. I imagine he'll get a giant contract offer from somebody next year if he does get all the way into restricted free agency. And then the real fun will begin and we'll see, what happens there. Just kind of looking at it, I think Damian Lee will probably be off the roster. I imagine that Iguodala will, I think he's going to ride off peacefully into the sunset. I hope he rides off peacefully into the sunset. I think it's probably over for him. It's probably time for him to retire.
Lee?
No, Iggy. Yeah. And I don't think they'll re-sign Damian Lee, and I don't think they'll re-sign Otto Porter Jr. Unless put it this way, they got Otto Porter Jr. on a vet minimum this year, and he's clearly a much better player than that. That was a huge steal. So they're gonna have to pick between a guy like him or like Nemanja Bjelica. Mm-hmm. I imagine somebody will throw a good chunk of change at Otto Porter Jr. So they're gonna force the Warriors' hand there, I think.
Mm-hmm. Sticking to Jordan Poole just a little bit. Real quick, I wanted to get you guys' opinion on his ceiling in the NBA. What do you think what kind of player do you think he could turn into? We know what he already is, but what can he turn into?
I just want to other does Zendaya show up to every game? Are there baddies in the crowd? Yes.
Yeah.
If there are baddies in the crowd on a night in, night out basis, I see. This is gonna sound like blasphemy, but I think this is a guy who could be Steph Curry, Junior.
Junior. Add another one.
The three juniors. He's not gonna be a top 10 player of all time, almost certainly. But he will be, as far as play style is concerned, Steph Curry, with the ability to give you 25, 26 points a game and create for himself or others. Mm-hmm. I think the shot, right now, we see he's got some shot selection issues. And again, it's like everybody says, he plays every game like he's trying to impress somebody in the crowd. I think he's always been a little bit like that, but he's also clearly somebody who just at a fundamental level can really fucking hoop. And has more playmaking ability than I think he has showed at times.
Mm-hmm. Chas?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I don't know, you said 25, 26 points a game. I feel like that's a lot. I would say he could probably be, a second option on a championship level contending team, maybe a top, 30 player in the league. I don't see him getting into the conversation as being, one of the best players in the league. probably not even one of the best, two guards in the league, but maybe right beyond that, as being a top. I think he could consistently turn into a top 40 player in the league or something like that. Which, when he was initially drafted, a lot of people calling it, a mistake or that he was overdrafted and, the Warriors reached for him. And to see, him in just a couple years into his career make such a big jump, be a big part of this championship team. I feel like it's just been huge for him. So, I think you guys might be a little higher, on him in terms of where he can be in a few years. But I think he's just going to continue to get better and better. And if he stays in Golden State and they do extend him beyond next year, which I feel like they likely want to, it could get complicated with the money, but if he stays in this fit, then that's just a perfect place for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Staying with the Warriors because that seems to be the trend here. Klay Thompson, 3 years ago from, I believe it was yesterday, game 5, I believe, he suffered that first injury. What do we expect from Klay? I'm sorry, 2 years. What do we expect in year 3 post-surgery, a full training camp, being, getting his legs under him? What do we expect from Klay Thompson next season?
I believe it was game 6, right, that he got hurt. But I would say that I feel like
yes, game 6.
I think he got better, throughout a lot of the season. And then I thought he was, playing pretty well throughout the playoffs. I think he was the second leading scorer coming into the series. Obviously, we talked about, shooting 36% from the field, only averaging like 16, 17 points in the finals. Not quite where we would expect him to be. But I think next season, he's going to have a chance to average over 20 points per game during the regular season. Probably going to be shooting high 30%, if not low 40% from 3. I think he's going to keep getting better and better in terms of his fluidity and how he just feels out on the court. I don't see how that couldn't get better, unless he happened to have another injury. But I feel like if he's able to stay healthy, then these next couple of years, he is going to, be a little bit better than we saw him be this year.
Yeah, I feel pretty similarly. I think it's one of those things where, like, if you can get a better, if you can get better from him as far as the explosiveness, I think defensively we might see him really, get closer to, quote unquote, his prime. I just think after all the injuries, we're probably not getting that guy back. With that being said, I think having an off season to be able to put that work in means he comes into the next season shooting the ball a little bit better, and then having a little bit more juice off the dribble as well. It's never going to be, patting the rock going crazy, but, 1 dribble, 2 dribble pull-ups, and then attacking closeouts, stuff like that.
Yeah, I feel like, he's going to have to continue to improve that just because I feel like, the more you play, the more comfortable you get out there. And there's no doubt that at times this season, the injuries did have an impact on it. I feel like you could see it at times. Further you get away from those injuries, I feel like just the easier it is on your mind and body.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with both of you. I think another year under the belt of Klay Thompson, and him getting his feet under him, just the training camp to ramp up, I think he will be exponentially better than he was this come next year. If they, want to be able, just thinking about it, they were able to win this title in a season where there was so much uncertainty around this team. And I think they're going to be even better next year, because obviously I picked them to win, but that's just me knowing the potential of this team and knowing where they can go. But the fact that they were able to do it, and they proved me right, not in the amount of games, but at the end of the day, they're champions. I think they're going to be even better next year, and that should be scary for the rest of the league.
Yeah, I think it's definitely within reason. Assuming that Klay does get a little more comfortable, and then guys like Poole, Wiggins keep doing what they're doing and probably get slightly better. And then obviously, I don't think anybody is expecting a drop off from Steph Curry next season. They should be right.
No,
They should be right back in the championship mix.
absolutely. Any last words, guys?
Nothing for me.
In general,
Mhm.
I did want to get your guys' quick take on a couple of the head coaching searches, if you guys don't mind, real quick.
Yeah. Go for it.
I mean, first one, Golden State Warriors losing an assistant coach. Actually, let me cut this record and start. But
You can
obviously,
go first, Tunde, when he.
what'd you say, Danny?
I said, Tunde, you can go first when Chaz asks his question.
Oh,
Sure.
okay. Well, I was just gonna say, with the Golden State Warriors winning it, but they're gonna be losing it. One of their assistant coaches is Kenny Atkinson. Recently took the Charlotte Hornets job.
They're losing both of them. Mike Brown's going to Sacramento, right?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, so two of their main guys. Obviously they have a good coaching staff, but they're gonna have to replace a few guys. What do you see, with that Atkinson fit with Charlotte?
I'm real excited about that one. Uh Charlotte, more than probably any team in the league, needs an impactful big. Like if you just and obviously this won't happen, but like if you just put Robert Williams a third as he currently exists on that Charlotte Hornets roster, there'd be a top, 5-6 seed in the Eastern Conference. So I think it starts there. Obviously, the draft being in a few weeks. I will almost guarantee you that team drafts. That team will draft one of two players if they're available. Jalen Duren from Memphis, who should be their primary top target, and or Mark Williams from Duke. And I think that's kind of where it starts. So we're talking about a coach is the personnel that they have on their roster. So you target a big through the draft, and if you strike out there for some reason, I guess free agency. But I think Kenny Atkinson is going to be really good for the continued development of the young guys on that roster, like LaMelo Ball, and like MPJ Washington. I'm assuming they will re-sign Miles Bridges and give him lots of money to be the best hooper / rapper in the league. Continued. I think Kenny Atkinson is going to be great for those guys' development. That's a lot of what you saw from him in Brooklyn. I think he wasn't quite the right fit for a roster where they kind of went so quickly from being about development and continued improvement to adding Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, where the priorities all of a sudden become much, much different, and you're obviously in win now mode. But I think he's going to be great and a great fit in Charlotte.
Danny, you got a take on that?
Yeah, I agree. I kind of agree with everything that he said. First time, and I think the history of this show, I've agreed on everything that Tunde said. Wow. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Chaz? I agree with Tunde.
Yeah, I think it's a good fit. I feel like, I don't know, James Borrego was kind of a similar coach to Kenny Atkinson. So I kind of want to see how the players, fit with and work with Atkinson. That can be a problem. How players adjust to new coaches coming in. I don't think they always responded very well to James Borrego. There were some rumors that he was too hard on them at times. That players felt that way, or that they just didn't like the way they coached him up. That was part of the reason. So it depends how Atkinson gets in there. It's a team with a lot of young guys, like you mentioned, Tunde. So we'll see, how they gel with a new coach like that. But I think it's a good fit. I think he's a very good coach. I know Mike D'Antoni was the other finalist for it. So I don't know if you guys think that Atkinson was a better choice there, but I do feel like he's going to do a good job.
I think some people, I think only certain styles fit with D'Antoni. And obviously we know what kind of system he runs, 7 seconds or less. I don't think that's the direction that team wanted to go in as far as offense. So that's one of the reasons that I can think of why he didn't get that opportunity is because the league is somewhat going away from that. I know we still have the Warriors that run something. I mean, Steph in particular runs something similar, but it's not the same. Everyone is transitioning into, although it's a quicker offense, it's not technically the way that D'Antoni traditionally ran it. So I think that was one of his best opportunities to land another job, and he didn't get it.
Yeah, I thought that there was a real shot that he was going to as well. Obviously, his defensive problems, I think, is probably the reason he didn't get it. That's already a team that really struggles in that area, and I don't think bringing in D'Antoni would be the best for that. So we'll see how Atkinson does with it. Tunde, to what you said, I definitely think that you're right about the Hornets needing to be big. I think, like you said, Jalen Duren has to be the number one option. I think they have 13 and 15 picks, so I don't really expect him to be there. But, if they come out of it with Mark Williams, who I think is one of the most underrated prospects in the whole draft, I feel like he would be a great fit next to LaMelo.
For sure. The only reason I say that is because I think just Jalen Duren can do a little bit more with the ball in his hands. He shows, passing ability and, a shooting stroke that I don't think Mark Williams quite has yet. And I also think Mark Williams has some, shooting potential there. But I think Jalen Duren just a little bit more versatile as a player. It's crazy to look at how physically mature he is at 19 years old as well. But I don't think they'll be unhappy with either player. Mark Williams is huge. I think he came in at the combine at 7'2".
Yeah.
Shoo.
Yeah, and we're talking about an athletic 7'2". So
that's a big boy.
That's a big boy.
That's how they coming nowadays. 7'2", 7'3".
Yeah, I mean, both of those guys look like they've been in the league for a couple of years. I mean, Jalen Duren looks like he could bang with any center in the league right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you drop Mark Williams into the NBA in 1988, Mark Williams would be in a top 10 list and would be a Hall of Famer, and then we'd be sitting here talking about him on these lists. Just so.
One more head coaching search, if you guys don't mind. I know the Jazz are looking to interview, I think, like a long list of guys.
Everybody.
Yeah,
I think I got an interview with them in 2 days. So.
I think I do too. I think mine is next Saturday.
Yeah.
They're interviewing me on a Saturday, which I think is very odd because normally they don't do interviews on a weekend. So the fact that they're bringing me in, and I think the players I think I'm going to watch them practice on Saturday. See, they normally don't bring people in when the players are practicing, but the fact that they're bringing me in on that Saturday when they're practicing, I mean, I get to watch the team. So
yeah, they're giving you the full treatment.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. If they're bringing you in on a Saturday, you might be getting the Brian Flores treatment. You know how they do it.
You trying to say you're a better coach than me? Just because they bring you in on the weekday don't mean that you got a better shot than me on the weekend.
Nah, that's
the weekend is privileged. The weekend is
not
privileged.
What I'm saying at all. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying you know how they do us. That's we in this together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Especially in Utah.
In Utah, ooh, that's
that's a whole different. Yeah.
Well, so it might be January 6th if they hire.
They said, we interviewed the black guy, and I'm like, oh,
yeah. So is there anybody?
We're live. I forgot we're live.
Is there anybody actually on that list that you guys think would be a good hire? I know Sam Cassell, Frank Vogel, Terry Stotts, who else was it? Adrian Griffin. There was like 10 guys.
I think Frank Vogel is not the guy they want. At first look, I really think it's time for Adrian Griffin to get a shot. He's been up for a few jobs.
Yep.
Comes highly recommended by a lot of really, really good head coaches around the league and has worked on a lot of really good staffs. I think it's his time to get a shot. I will say if they do decide to go in the Frank Vogel direction, that Rudy Gobert will probably still be like if Frank Vogel has his wish, Rudy Gobert will not be on a different roster. come next season if Frank Vogel is the coach. We know how he kind of views the game and the lens through which he sees it. But
Yeah.
I for them, I do want Adrian Griffin.
Dan, you got any take or best option you think for the Jazz?
You guys know how I feel about the Jazz.
Even with a new coach?
You guys just know, like I've never been a believer in that Utah team. I just don't know what they can do to get better at this point. I don't think the coach is the issue, honestly. I don't think the coach is the issue. I think it's the players. No matter what coach you bring in, you still have a personnel issue. And they can't solve that. So at the end of the day, I hate to say it, I don't particularly care who they bring in because they're still going to have those issues that they have. And until they figure out, okay, sit both of those guys down, your two best players, and say, hey, like, do you guys want to play together or not? And do you guys want to work it out or not? Because on the surface, it looked like you guys are just kumbaya, like you guys worked out all your issues. But it doesn't necessarily translate like that on the court all the time. So you guys need to work out your issues, whatever you have, like whatever the case may be, whatever the problem is, you need to work that out before we can move forward. I very well believe that team could be a top 4 or 5 seed in the Western Conference. It's all about their want to. I'm not saying they're not talented. I'm saying they've yet to put the pieces together other than that 1 year where they had the best record in the league. Their inability to put it all together, I think, is one of the reasons why I've always said they've always, in my opinion, underachieved, and why they've always just been looked at this team. Oh, they have this good record. I'm like, wait till it matters the most. They're going to disappoint you. Kind of like the Cowboys, Cowboy fans out there. They disappoint y'all every year. I mean, they really do.
He said Utah trick y'all. They just run around.
Every year the Cowboys fan, we're going to win the Super Bowl. We're going to win it. No, you're not. You're not winning the Super Bowl.
He said the Dallas Cowboys trick y'all. Like they win Super Bowls. They just run around here building.
Pretending.
I think the thing that bothers me the most about the Dallas Cowboys, now we're switching sports. I don't know if anybody has noticed this, but the way they built their stadium means that when they play late afternoon games, the sun is like directly in everybody's eyes. So that they literally they built a stadium with massive logistical issues as a vanity project for their owner because he wanted to feel important. Like they built a scoreboard that was so big that sometimes punts hit the scoreboard because it hangs down too low on the field. And when they play games that start at 4:25, like out in their time zone, the sun is literally in everybody's eyes, and it makes the game a nightmare. Which is like, how is anybody cool with that?
Well, you know why Jerry Jones was, because the bottom line. That's all he cared.
Absolutely, it's always the bottom line with him. Yeah, but is there any more as far as coaches? Anything, Chad, that you wanted to discuss?
No, I mean, I thought it was interesting. I think it's a good hire for the Lakers to go get Rasheed Wallace, and then also to keep Phil Handy on the coaching staff too. So, I think David Fizdale and I think one other one are not coming back, but I did think it was good for them to go get Rasheed.
Yeah. Didn't he relieve like everyone except I think one of the assistant coaches?
Yeah, I think Phil Handy might have been the only one that stayed on.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So he let everyone else go. I think that was a smart move. I think Phil Handy is an excellent basketball mind.
Yeah, me too.
He's one of the best assistants in the league. But obviously they want to do something. I mean, their problem is Westbrook. That's the problem. I mean, I can tell you what your problem is. Number 0. That's your problem. Until you figure that problem out, I mean, it don't matter what you do.
I know. And it sounds like they might bring him back. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah,
But
I mean, at this point, I don't think they have any much of a choice.
I think if they wanted to, I think there's a trade market for Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, I think one of these garbage teams, that's not really going anywhere, will use him. But no playoff team or contending team is trading for Russell Westbrook.
I think we underestimate how many teams in the NBA are actually like trying to win a title. Like there are a lot of front offices.
Yeah, not a lot.
Talking about like the team governors and ownership groups who are like the making money. Like this is a money making thing to them.
I think it's realistic. You have to look at how many teams realistically can win, not how many want to realistically.
Right, but I think a lot of teams aren't trying. Like there's a decent amount of teams, like 8 to 10, that aren't really trying to go for it for real. And like any one of those teams, you get Russell Westbrook, you get a chance to completely reset your cap, basically, because it's an expiring contract that's like $47 million. You can completely rewrite your books, clear your cap space, and get a shot to do it again. For like that's something that some of these teams that say like Indiana would probably have some interest in. So
yeah, I mean, if you're talking about a team like that, I can see, but Indiana's not winning they're not winning the title, but they're not a champion. Not a champion. That's what I'm saying. Like maybe
for you to trade Russell Westbrook, he doesn't have to be going to a playoff contending team.
No, I'm saying maybe. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I don't think the market for Westbrook is teams that, are vastly under 500 or teams that's, barely, or they have a decent record, but we know that they're not going to compete for a title. His market is not a team that is in a running for a championship. Like he's not going to the Bucks. He's not going to Miami. He's not going to Boston. He's not going to Philadelphia. He's not going to the Warriors. He's not going to the Clippers. He's not going to these teams that are actually one of probably the 10, 12 teams that could legitimately win a title. He's going to the Charlottes, or he's going to maybe Indiana. He's going to those caliber teams. Cleveland. He's going to those caliber teams. He's not going to a team that has a legit chance of winning a title. That's not where he's going. Nobody's going to pay for that. Chicago.
No, but I mean, that's not the point, though, right? The point for the Lakers is just
the point is to move him.
Yeah, exactly. No matter what.
No matter what. The point is to move him no matter what. And I think Indiana could be a great trading, team with them. I still think it has to be a 3-team trade somehow. I think they have to do this in 3 teams. I don't think it just could be straight up 2 teams. They have to get another team involved. But yeah, they most definitely, despite anything, they have a Westbrook problem. Will they fix that out? Who knows? But right now they're in a state of I don't know if they can make the playoff next year, based on how this Western Conference is looking. If they get a completely healthy team, of course. But if they continue to be banged up and AD in and out of the lineup, street clothes in and out of the lineup, I don't know. But yeah. Anthony Davis is something else.
Hadn't shot a ball in 2 months.
Haven't shot a ball in 2 months. Like what? Oh, okay, whatever. Like you need to be
in the gym now, though. At least back in the gym.
You need to be shooting. Like what the hell? You shot like 30%. Like
a lot of that was overblown, but I think a lot of that was overblown.
You ain't picked up a basketball. You shot like 30% from the 3. Like
it sounds like that's his normal regimen. He takes a month off.
Shouldn't he stop the normal regimen if it's not working? Like it's never worked. Like it worked once when they won a championship. Like shouldn't you change something? Like you shot 30%. Like shouldn't you change the way you do stuff? If you get hurt almost every year and you stick to the same regimen almost every year and you continue to see the same, won't you change something? That's like the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again.
My thing is that last year he came into the season clearly bulked up and he looked worse and like he lost his movement ability. And he came back, but like the injuries he suffered last year were like somebody falling somebody like, basically falling and rolling into his knee, and then like somebody, Rudy Gobert, being under him, and then him messing his, foot/ankle up as a result of that. I don't really think that has anything to do with trending. I think those are just unfortunate. I don't think he suffers lots of injuries. No one is arguing that. But the stuff that happened to him last year seemed more like misfortune than anything else.
Yeah, I'm not sure if his offseason regimen really has anything to do with his injury history. But just optics wise, it's never great to hear that somebody that you're looking to have a good season out of hasn't shot a ball in 2 months.
Mister haven't shot a shot since April something. Like you should have kept that. It's some stuff you keep to yourself. That was one of those things that you should have kept to yourself. Like you shouldn't have let the world know that. You shouldn't have let the world know that. And you said it with confidence and conviction too. Like you said it like it's so good. Like, yeah, I haven't shot the ball in 2 months. Like what is this? Like, what are we doing here? Like, come on, man. Like, you can't. He's insane. Like, definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Anthony Davis has done the same thing over and over. His same workout, his same, his off-season stuff. He's done the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. That's insane. It's insane. You eating the same, but you expecting you not to get hurt. Like, it don't work like that. I mean, you're not drinking enough water. That's what he's not doing. He's not drinking enough water. He keep getting cramped up, keep getting leg injuries. He's not drinking enough water. I gotta tell him. I gotta call AD like, hey man, you're not drinking enough water. That's what it is. Like you keep getting injured because you ain't drinking enough fluids.
Might be it.
Somebody gotta tell you, not me, but I'm just saying, like, you ain't drinking enough water. Don't shoot the messenger now. I'm just calling it like I see it. Anthony Davis, he's a good player. Don't give me top 10 though. Don't give me no top 10. But he's a good player. He's in that Paul George category, 12 to 15, that area. But yeah.
I'm not taking the bait with you tonight.
I know.
I know exactly what you're trying to do. We're not doing it tonight.
Anything else from the finals, guys?
Nothing from me.
It was a hell of a season, hell of a series. Obviously
we will be back, guys, to break down the 2022 NBA draft. So
1 week out, right?
1 week out. We're going to be breaking down who we believe will be the top prospects in this draft. So stay tuned for that cover. We're not going anywhere. We're just actually beginning. But it was a great season. Last thoughts on this season as a whole?
It's been real. Let's do it again. Let's have another fun season, right?
Mm-hmm. Trash.
No, it was a lot of fun. Obviously, I feel like the biggest takeaway has to be, Steph Curry and the Warriors, continuing the dynasty. Curry continuing to cement his legacy, but the whole series, the whole playoffs, fun to watch. Hell of a regular season. I can't wait till next year.
Yeah. Obviously the biggest takeaway right now is, Steph Curry with the All-Star MVP. So let's go back with the record, the 3-point record, the All-Star Game MVP, the first ever Western Conference Finals MVP, and now he caps it off with his 4th championship and his first ever his first ever Finals MVP. So, I mean, the trophy case for him just exploded this season. The Warriors are back on top of the world. Steph Curry is back on top of the world once again. So the biggest takeaway again is Steph Curry reassuring us that he is that guy. He is that dude, and he is one of the best players to ever play this game, and one of the current players that's playing in the game right now. If you guys don't have anything else, it's been an incredible regular season. Like I said, we're not going anywhere. We're just getting started. We will be covering free agency as it come around during the 4th of July. I think it's 4th of July weekend, right? Or a little bit after 4th of July weekend. Somewhere in there with free agency.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's around there. So we'll be covering that wall-to-wall coverage as we bring you the latest of news around that, and where these players will be going to their next destination. So we're just getting started. as the season wraps. But if you guys don't have anything, that will do it for me. Thank you guys for an incredible regular season. Let's do it again.